what is the bare minimum amount of income that needs to be shown for a client to be able to execute a strategy with you?
Of at least a minimum of $100,000 to begin the process.
Combined.
Okay.
But
the process of being onboarded as a mortgage savvy client starts immediately the moment that there is a desire to build a strategy.
That gives hope. In a market where everybody is spewing venom right now. Like everybody's like, Canada sucks, mortgages are unaffordable. You're saying with $100,000, you're making just above minimum wage, you can get that process started.
Absolutely.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Basem Hanna podcast. Today, we are very fortunate to be joined by Rakhee Dhingra, who is a financing specialist, and she will be describing her entrepreneurial journey and what she does for a living now. Rakhee, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Maybe we can start by you introducing yourself to the audience, what you do, who you are, all that good stuff.
So I founded Mortgage Savvy, which is a mortgage brokerage 8 years ago with a mandate to help homeowners be mortgage free. The dream is not necessarily owning real estate or owning property. It's being debt free.
Okay, so this obviously resonates with me. I don't know why, but from when I was, from a young age, and this might be like an Arab thing, but it was always like the goal is to never have debt. Right? So it's hilarious that we have to use debt to eventually get out of debt, but that's just the way it works if you want to grow your business. But the fact that your mandate is to get people to become mortgage free is it resonates a lot with me.
There are those cultural roots and beliefs. Coming from a very similar background, being raised in a very similar way, what I realized from doing is that you can use leverage to build wealth.
Totally.
But the end game is how you live your mortgage is often how you end up living your life.
Now, describe, I guess. Okay, well, why don't we just take a step back? Because I have a few questions. This is very interesting to me, and I've never really spoken to somebody from the mortgage industry on the show. So I got a lot to break down. Let's just start with, on a day-to-day basis, what are you doing? Like, what products and services are you selling or offering? And this is for my own knowledge and interest actually right now.
Absolutely. So we're extending first mortgages. We're helping clients with refinances. We're coaching on clients' renewals. Obviously, we've seen a shift in the rate environment.
Right.
But it's understanding the client's stories and being able to execute solutions for the clients.
Right.
That's really poised to ensuring that we're keeping clients comfortable within their affordability. We're ensuring that they're on a path to hit their long-term wealth building goals. There's concepts of, wanting to be mortgage free, but teaching the clients of the how-to.
Right.
And when I entered the mortgage industry, it was to be able to navigate my own real estate investment journey. That was the goal. And through the process, when you learn something that's empowering, the gift is in sharing it.
Totally.
And I chose,
resonate with that.
I said to my husband, I was at home with my daughter for a few years. I had the opportunity and the gift to really just be present with her because I was able to replace my income by investing in real estate myself.
Right.
And then there was a joy in educating other young families with the how-to and the know-how of doing the same. And with that came advocacy. Every client I interacted with became a walking, talking advocate for the brand and for the services we provide. And now here we are today.
So 8 years ago, you start Mortgage Savvy. Was it always called Mortgage Savvy?
It was right from day one.
Okay, amazing. And what did you do before that? Before Mortgage Savvy and before the most important job of life, which is becoming a mom?
So I come from financial services.
Okay.
I have a BCom and a master's in finance.
Okay.
So coming from a really strong finance background, the role I actually opted into was a role in relationship management at the corporate banking level. What I did really well was connect with people.
Which bank?
So Citibank Canada is where I
Okay.
started,
Nice.
right out of university. It was home for a number of years. And being in that environment, I was able to, with my ability of connecting with people, build meaningful connections that resulted in sort of organic transactions and meaningful relationships, which I extended to my mortgage business.
Okay, so for all of the, I find that most of the people that watch this show are entrepreneurs or people that see a professional or an entrepreneur on the show and want to like know their history and resonate. So you started off, you come out of school, you're in relationship management, so you are out on behalf of the institution that you work for. You're going and you're basically trying to get new clients to come into the business and to like their wealth management departments or whatever, if I'm not mistaken.
For sure. There is that background about sustaining and acquiring new clients.
So it's like a bit of a salesy role. So for
It
all of our
is.
salespeople out there, like I think there's a very direct connection between really good salespeople or people that can explain a concept to others and the entrepreneurial journey. It was like sales is the key always.
Sales is the key, and it comes down to competence, trust, and heart.
Of course. So you do that for a number of years, and then is there anything in between?
So I go from there to being a mom,
Okay.
a stay-at-home mom
A
for
stay-at-home
years.
mom for a few years. How long did you do that for?
I did that for 4 years.
Okay.
So I did that for quite some time.
You have a daughter. If
I have
I'm
a
not
daughter that's going to be 13 in a
Oh
week.
my goodness! Oh my goodness! You must have had her when you were 12. Yeah. And then you do that, and then there's an immediate entrepreneurial desire.
So I bought my first home in 2008, and I realized the value in building wealth through owning my first home and being able to leverage that to purchase additional investment properties. And then I mandated a strategy where it was like a very simple, stupid method, as I call it, one owner occupied, which is my primary residence.
Right.
And I took that long-term sort of approach where I bought my forever home as my
Okay.
first home purchase.
Right.
And then I
Congrats.
leveraged to buy 2 investments, and over the years refinance the investments to help pay off my owner-occupied property.
Oh, okay. So that's a very private equity move that you just did there. And have you successfully? Are you mortgage free?
So yes, absolutely.
Very-
It's the know-how. It's when you're doing it for yourself that you empower yourself with the knowledge and the know-how to help other clients, and friends do the same.
Right. And then that leads into like word of mouth, which is like, okay, well, if you do it for yourself, can you help me do it for myself?
Absolutely.
And then mortgage savvy.
Yes, and then mortgage savvy. And through the years, my husband and I, acquired multiple properties, and it's navigating the lending environment. As you continue to acquire properties, there's challenges with respect to the qualification.
Right.
And doing it for yourself, again, gives you the know-how and the skill set to help devise the strategies. So often I'll say I'm a wealth builder, not necessarily a mortgage broker. Mortgages are a tool.
I've tried not to say mortgage broker on the. So Rakhee and I, again, as most of my latest podcasts have been with people that I'm meeting for the first time, like on camera. So this is a very informative like discussion for me as well. Tough question for you right now. In today's market, high interest rates, Canada's getting a little bit of a bad rap in terms of like product affordability, mortgage affordability, income disparities, all that good stuff. What is your strategy for somebody that is new to the market right now that wants to be mortgage savvy, that wants to be mortgage free? How do you get them? What's from step 1 to the end? What is that goal? Or how do you get them there?
So the first assessment is really an intake, understanding the client's personal obligations and responsibilities, understanding what their long-term goals are, and truly working within a client's affordability.
Right.
That first purchase is often a stepping stone, not necessarily the destination.
Right.
And giving clients a roadmap on how to navigate and take the steps to eventually hit their long-term goals becomes a key part of the process at the onset. We're not transactional. It's
Okay.
not a matter of securing a client's pre-approval and taking them to market. It's helping the clients understand what their parameters are that fit their lifestyle and their personal goals.
Now, do you think it's possible, like, more pointed question, what is the bare minimum amount of, what is the bare minimum amount of income that needs to be shown for a client to be able to execute a strategy with you?
We're looking at combined household income of at least a minimum of $100,000 to begin the process.
Combined.
Combined.
Okay.
But the process of being onboarded as a mortgage savvy client starts immediately the moment that there is a desire to build a strategy.
But like, think about what you're saying. Like, let's, like, that gives hope in a
does.
market where everybody is spewing venom right now. Like, everybody's like, Canada sucks, mortgages are unaffordable, you're priced out of the market. You're saying with $100,000 combined, that's two people making $50,000. I think minimum wage is $17.50 right now. So that means like you're making just above minimum wage, and you have a good life partner that you're willing to go on this journey with. You can get that process started.
Absolutely. And we get creative. There's also opportunity of two individuals that may not necessarily have found their life partners purchasing together.
Okay.
There's
so you don't even need to
co-ownership.
be married.
There's co-ownership.
Yeah.
There are options available. There's opportunities of also purchasing property with, the addition of a co-signer. Maybe you have a parent or a family member that's willing to support. Maybe there's the opportunity to enter the market where there's a component of the property that can serve as a rental unit to help you subsidize. So we create strategies. We get creative with the client to create a roadmap and begin planning so that they can enter the market.
And just to manage expectations, so we're not like selling dreams, that couple of people that are making $100K a year, how long does it take them to get to, I think the average home price in the GTA is like you can't get in here for less than $600,000, like, probably, right? How long does it take them to get, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, so I'm sorry.
No worries.
To go from like, we make $100,000, let's say that only raises with inflation. How long does it take them to get to that point where they're mortgage free and they're breathing?
It really depends very much on the client's sort of personal motivation and working with the brokerage as well that's going to do the follow-ups. We're touching base with our clients on an ongoing basis.
Just
We're
to make
creating
sure.
accountability,
Okay.
right? We have systems and processes in place that support that client on the journey. So I can't give you a definitive timeline, but I will say most clients are in that position anywhere between 8 and 14 years.
Okay.
However,
That's not crazy.
No.
Like, for real estate to own $600,000 or build $600,000 worth of equity in 8 to 14 years is very good.
and it's speed to market as well, where there's
Right.
opportunity cost in waiting.
Yeah. Which
Okay.
people don't factor in, right? Being priced out of a market is, like, if you believe in general economic theory, it should always go up. Like, it might go up like this, where you might get an opportunity where you can catch a dip and rise, but generally the market's going up. So if you're waiting for that moment, are you doing yourself a favor?
I believe that there is merit in speed to market. I often say to clients, I'm not going to know if it has fresh painted walls or quartz countertops, but as long as the property meets sort of the financial constraints of ensuring that the clients are comfortable, I obviously want them to like me after they moved in.
For
That we
sure.
begin that plan of helping them move forward towards their long-term goals. So there's merit in speed of market, entering the market based on what they're able to achieve today. Rental rates have continued to rise.
Yes.
So from an economic monthly carrying cost perspective, oftentimes there's merit in entering the market.
Okay. Now, last specific question, then I want to like scope out a little bit to talk, because I think this is like very important meat and potatoes of like people listening to this. What we understand the income side. What about like the deposit side? Like, you need to make $100,000 together. How much money do you need to have saved up?
So by the time you're looking to make an offer, you will be required to have 5% of the purchase price
Right.
liquid. ready to go.
Okay.
With respect to down payment, which is the amount that you need as a minimum to put down towards a purchase,
Yeah.
it's 5% of the first 500,000,
Right.
10% of anything above up to 99999. The moment we hit that $1 million threshold, it's 20%.
So we're looking for properties under $1 million.
Million, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Got
So
it.
for a $600,000 condo, you're looking at a down payment of $35,000 plus
is-
closing costs.
Which is like, if you've been good with your money, you can. It's doable.
It is
It's
doable.
We're
It
talking
is
about the
doable.
first-time home buyers here. Like, we're giving hope to the generation that everybody seems to think will never be able to buy a home.
Absolutely. There is merit in sitting down and creating a strategy. I believe once you start writing down goals, you manifest them into fruition.
A total believer in that. The only things I've ever accomplished in my life are the ones that I've actually written down.
And this is a scary process. The financing piece of purchasing your first property is really overwhelming. And so what we
Very.
lead with is a sense of safety, security, of knowing that you have a strategic advisor that's there to help you build that plan.
Yes. And I mean, so that leads me into the next set of questions I have is like, what pre and post services do you provide that make you different? Or like, or how do you differentiate yourself in, like, we will not use the word mortgage
broker?
mortgage broker, but like in that space, there are tons of options. How do you differentiate yourself?
So I believe in people are going to work with people that believe in what you believe in.
Okay.
That is the premise of how I operate in my business day to day. And, you know, having to navigate my own personal story and my own personal journey. I've had my ups, I've had my downs. I offer clients with that same level of support that I want to be on the receiving end of.
Right.
Which is a coaching. It's not transactional in nature. It's ensuring that clients have the education that they need, the hand holding they need to know that I'm going to kind of take their hand, walk them through that door,
Right.
but stay with them. And I think the key differentiation between us as a brokerage versus others is the follow through after the transaction is closed.
Which is probably something that's underappreciated. You know, like everybody, while they're looking for the sale or like to make the financial transaction happen, you're hot to trot. It looks like what you're doing is you're providing like post-care service when most people are probably forgotten about or like everybody's moved on.
Absolutely. We're so focused on that, sourcing that first client, that next client, that
Right.
we lose sight of our existing sort of ecosystem that we've built.
Right.
And we need to nurture that. We need to provide support. You know, most Canadians, after they enter a mortgage contract, statistically are looking to make a change to their covenants within 2.25 to 3 years. You want to poise yourself there to be their go-to advisor.
Right. This is
You
a
want to
long-term
stay
game
in
for you.
touch. You want to poise yourself as their strategic advisor for their entire real estate life cycle. It's not the one transaction. And if a client comes to you on the front end of having a desire and there needs to be a plan put in place, then you stay connected. That may not be necessarily immediate, but that client becomes a walking, talking advocate for
Right.
your brand because they don't forget how you made them feel.
I mean, I couldn't agree more with that because I'm in a similar or related business, which is that I raise equity from investors and then we co-develop these real estate projects together. Referral and repeat business is the lifeblood of what I do. And it's directly correlated, right? Like if you're one and doneing these clients, you're look for a new job or look for a job because this is the significance of treating your people right, the people that trust you with their capital, with their business, like that is everything. So the fact that you're coming in and you're saying like it's not so much what that first transaction, it's the follow-up transactions that resonates really well with me. Now, something we talked about right before we went on camera, what is the next step for for Mortgage Savvy? Like what are the future goals of what you're trying to do?
Wealth preservation. 2023 was a challenging year. I lost my mom and my
Sorry to
husband
hear
in a
that.
very short period of time.
I did not know that. I'm very sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So having built, I had all my eggs in one basket. And when you're young and you're thriving, bad things don't happen to you.
Right.
They happen to everybody else.
Yes.
You operate in a bubble where you're untouchable. And having the proper safeguards and education, there is a shift. It's not just building wealth for today, it's leaving a legacy. It's generational wealth and
Yeah.
preservation. But we lack the education and the supports in place to really devise a strategy. So there is a shift in the industry. As a mortgage broker, I want to be a wealth advisor. Yes, I use mortgages as a tool, but I also want to help educate clients in walking them through the other verticals. Tax strategy. I had a client yesterday say it doesn't make sense for me to leverage a $100,000 sort of deposit from my line of credit at a 7.5% interest rate. But when I looked at his numbers and I looked at his tax exposure, his net cost on that is only 3.5%. Most individuals don't have the know-how to advise clients and provide that overarching oversight.
Right.
On the insurance side, insurance is a word that is taboo, but ensuring that we're getting the right education. There's capital gain exposure. There's probate. My mandate moving forward is not just building wealth, but it's preserving wealth for my clients. And I've gone through the University of Life.
Sorry. Okay. And honestly, we can cut this part but I'm very interested personally in this. Like, can you
Yeah.
just tell me more about like that personal experience that you had?
So February, I'm really great at raising capital. So I was traveling around. I was in the Grenadines helping a client acquire an island, and I was very excited about this project. And I got a call from my mom, who was very active in the day-to-day. I run a successful business. My husband was running a successful business, and we're very old-school moms in the kitchen,
Yeah.
juggling things with family.
Yeah. It takes a village.
It takes a village.
Yeah.
And she was diagnosed with ALS.
Okay.
At the age of 66.
Oh my gosh.
And the progression with that was massively quick, and my husband was my best friend. I met him when I was 13. I was married to a man that was larger than life, was in the private equity space, raised capital, great connections, great relationships, dynamic human being, great heart, loved me more than I could ever imagine, was great to my daughter, was my support when I lost my mom, and I thank God every day. And then I lost him on August 31st. And
Of 2023.
23. And that was
less
the
than a year.
hardest. Losing mom was hard.
I'm only just getting into this, so I'm learning. There's an incredible positivity, and there is a community, and the people that like are trying to grow and boost each other is amazing. And like the positives that I've seen from social are fantastic. But then every once in a while, you get the troll. Or more importantly, like I don't care about the troll, like the people that like hit your comments up, like the faceless people that
Yes,
like
it's
are,
hard.
and
It's
like
hard.
they're trying, they're not talking about the post, they're trying to like dig at you as a
Oh,
human.
absolutely. I had
right?
that yesterday. I was out yesterday because this has been 2 weeks of me being back and pushing myself and saying yes and being present. And I had a meeting with a producing team. They've worked with me before. They love my work. They made a comment on my social because I've been sharing a little. I want to be authentic, and I haven't felt that way with my audience. So late night, if I'm in pain, I'm sharing my stories. Like if you don't have life insurance, go out and get it, because I didn't, right? And that's
Scary.
And I shared it, and it was interesting. Her comment was, "We love you, we love what you do, but we wonder sometimes if those posts are strategic." And I said, how can you even think that? If they're being posted at 2 a.m., I'm obviously struggling.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to inspire others to take a moment and reflect. I'm not licensed in insurance. I don't make anything from this.
I mean, listen.
I'm just trying to share my story.
Can I can I take you on a spiritual exercise right now?
Sure.
An impromptu spiritual exercise that will take you
Absolutely.
way outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And we'll apologize to your parents and your broader upbringing community.
Yeah.
But for all of the people out there that unnecessarily take away from the good that you are trying to do, can we just like throw up a middle finger and like let them know that it affects us, but we will bounce back.
Absolutely.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 at your camera. Yeah.
Everyone's going to be like, she did not.
Because it's important,
It's
you
true.
go through something
It's
like this.
true.
Also, like share your story. Like
That's
there's nothing
true.
wrong with it. It's terrible, and like I walk into these things and I never know what to expect. But the more authentic the conversation, like the better the friendship that develops.
Absolutely. And I was nervous. I'm just real. I can't be up here. I can't be here with you and not be honest about my story. My life has done a 180. I'm a sole provider. I feel it. I know what that anxiety feels like. So when a client walks through the door, I got you because I need someone to get me.
Yeah. Look, you took what is arguably like the worst 1-2 punch that somebody can take in terms of like real life stuff, not business stuff, and you've turned it into most people that I know that go through stuff like this bury themselves in a hole, and it's hard to get them out. And somehow you are here. This August? So it's not even a year since
8 months. 8
Yeah.
months last week.
and here you are. You recognize your responsibility, your new world, your continuing responsibility, which is to provide for your daughter. And beyond that, you're saying, I'm going to make my life about not me.
Oh, he's here with me. He was with me on vacation. And when I say that, people think I'm crazy. But the most incredible things just keep happening. When I have a moment, I had a moment the other day, I couldn't sleep. I came down 6 a.m., client sends me an agreement of purchase and sale. I'm like, might as well work on it. Closing date is my wedding anniversary. He's here. I had the gift of being loved by somebody that knew he could conquer the world and he could build a business that would have impact, that would provide for me and my daughter. He believed in me. And I know that he's here telling me I can do this. And there's this energy. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels like there's this power. It's like he's my pre-workout. He has me moving ahead. He's, baby, you got this, right? And he wasn't polished with his words.
Right.
And he's like, and he would say
So
things
he would
like,
appreciate the middle finger.
oh
we
my
just
God,
gave to the
absolutely.
haters.
Because that was every other 2 minutes. Everyone's like, are you sure you're married to him? He'd be like, you're a lot, but your heart is gold and I believe in you. So go out and conquer the world. He'd put my shoes on for me, take my stuff, put it in the car, like my briefcase, set me up, bring me my coffee every morning, and wish me well. And this man was building a massive business, but to make me happy, he shut it down and moved home, still ran his business, never missed picking up my daughter from school. He could be working on $1 million deal, and it's 3:20, and he's like, I gotta go, we'll pick this up tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I gotta go get my daughter. It's because of him that I am where I am today. And where I need to be tomorrow will be fueled by the legacy that he wants me to have. And I know that spiritually, that the challenges that have happened need to ignite a future where I impact more people at a different level.
I mean, that is a very, very inspirational story. I don't know how we transition from that back into the podcast, but we will try. But maybe the parting note on that is that you mentioned that it's your legacy, it's your shared legacy, right? It's you and him together. His name is Rick, you said. Mm-hmm. Like you're absolutely right. He's here with you.
He's here.
And what you build, you're building together. despite one of you doing a little bit more of the heavy lifting these days.
Absolutely. I'm sure he's shocked that I've done a lot of growing up in a very short period of time.
Well, I'll just like my sincere condolences on the losses that you've experienced over the last year. That's tough for anybody. Let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, I asked this to all of my guests that are in the real estate space, especially ones that are owners of income producing properties and all that. What is your take on the Residential Tenancies Act?
Ugh. That one is challenging. It definitely favors, tenants and puts investors at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. And what would you do to change it?
We need to have landlords empowered.
How?
That's a challenging one. I think we need to create shifts that help landlords protect their investments. Mm-hmm. They've worked hard to build wealth, and their rights are often ignored.
What specifically? Sorry, I don't mean to pull on this.
Yeah,
but
no, this isn't an area that I'm a special sort of. This isn't
but
an area.
But just like anybody that's been a landlord knows the feeling, right?
Absolutely.
Like the worst part is a tenant for whatever reason misses a rental payment, right? And you can be compassionate and you can have a conversation, but there's no teeth.
No, the same safeguards that apply to mortgages and defaults on loan obligations should apply to renters and tenants.
I agree.
The regulation and the support should match.
Especially because they're directly connected, right? Like most people are buying investment properties, and if the renter misses their payment,
there's no recourse, but a homeowner or investor missing a mortgage payment has immediate recourse.
Right. And that is a massive disconnect. Some would argue that's the risk for the investment, and that.
No, there needs to be shifts. We've seen, interest rates rise, overhead increase.
Yes.
Clients are running significant shortfalls, mm-hmm. and we need recourse in place for, investors to mitigate their losses.
I totally agree, obviously.
And I'm personally in that situation, so I feel the pain.
Every landlord I've talked to, anybody that's owned an investment property has at least one story, right, where they've been on the losing end of like an LTB battle.
Absolutely.
And it's painful.
It's very painful.
Yeah.
Very painful. And these are hardworking families that have, worked really hard to put the savings together to create these acquisitions.
Totally. Now, this is again something that we talked about when you said you're growing wealth. You're trying to grow people's wealth now, right? Like, so it started off as we're going to find a way to secure you financing, and now it's evolved into a broader conversation. Absolutely. About taking care of your people.
Absolutely. And it's also understanding that we all don't want, I was a real estate investor. We went through over a decade of significant year-over-year appreciation, and then suddenly there was a shift.
Right.
And what I realized is that diversification helps mitigate risk.
Mm-hmm. I agree completely. Do you believe in diversification outside of Canada? I
do, because I've personally taken some steps to create opportunities for myself that mm-hmm. are, fueled by my own personal passions. Right. Of having better quality of life.
Right. Like buying a rental property or a vacation property or something like that.
Correct. Right. I feel that we all need to have a clear sight of our end game. Yeah. As successful entrepreneurs, we get caught on this hamster wheel. We don't get a pension. No. We need to plan for that end game. We need to visually see, what do we want this to look like from a lifestyle perspective? Right. Those are the conversations I have with clients. It doesn't come down to numbers. Where do you want to be? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's
Give
the
me
vision.
A picture. Share your story.
Okay, so I wanna share something or talk to you about something that is important to me, which is the growth of the quote unquote immigrant community.
Yes.
Like this is to give you background. Because I actually don't think you know this. I went. I was raised in my community raised me. Like that's like my parents and like the broader Coptic Christian community that we grew up in was like like that's what brought me up. And then the word community took on a new meaning because it wasn't just inside of that one small group. It became like my friends at school, and then the people that I do business with, and then like people like you that I meet. And what I've started to realize is we are probably the most powerful, untapped resource that this country has. You know, we are the working class, or we come from the working class. We've been here for, 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years. We're sitting on small amounts of capital alone, and we end up doing very silly things with that capital because we don't know what to do.
Exactly. Don't have the know-how.
We don't have the know-how, and there, like, as in all business, there are people who are more than happy to take advantage of the opportunity that we may not be the most knowledgeable group of people as a whole. Individually, we are all extremely smart and well educated. We take pride in that. Normally, when you come to this country, that's all you have is the pride in the fact that I have this upbringing. I will hold myself to a higher standard, and then I hope to God that the world around me recognizes this
opportunity
and does that. But then the minute we get a little bit of money, it's like there's fear.
Fear.
Right? And you're like, I'm gonna hoard this, and I'm gonna do what I think or what I've seen as a good investment, not knowing about private equity, not knowing about real estate investing, not knowing about wealth planning, not knowing anything, because no one's ever had that conversation with you. You've never been worth their time, right? So my personal goal is to change that narrative, right? And it's not a thing I do alone. It's impossible, but our broader, like, I'm talking about brown people, Asian people, like just minorities, visible minorities that usually don't get like there's a typical stereotype that comes with it. I want to turn that around on its head. And we need to turn that around on its head. As a group, we need to take pride. That is something that I feel extremely passionate about, and I'm trying to sort it out in my mind how to get that done. I believe I have a plan in place to try to move it forward, and it's larger than life, but so is the opportunity.
And that is the definition of leadership. Leadership is creating and communicating and contributing and teaching people opportunity, holding their hand through it, and spending the time and making the investment.
But I'm very inspired by somebody like you, because that's you're more practically executing on what I'm trying to achieve than I am. So like I sit here and I'm like taking notes mentally. I'm like, this is how you take the real steps to move it forward. And
I look at you as doing it at that larger scale, which is where I want to one day be. Right now I'm in it with the clients. I had recently a client walk through the door 2 years ago, and they were a minority family with a child that was struggling with a disability, and they were in debt.
Yeah.
And I took them through the process of month-over-month coaching, got them into their long-term property that was able to be modified to accommodate their child in the city of Toronto, so that they could also tap into disability supports for their son. And they purchased a property for their daughter as an investment. And I got an image of her opening the door to this home. And that to me is the win. It's actually getting them through the stages and walking them through that. And now I'm getting messages, when would we be ready to acquire our second? Because they see it.
And what you don't realize is, like, you did them a good deed today, but you also just set them up.
Yes.
Right? Like, you
that is
set
it.
them up for life. Like, they will appreciate that property. Like, whatever, say they bought that property for under $1 million today. In 10, 15, 20 years, when that property doubles in value, they're going to be like, oh, not only do I have $1 million in built up equity, I've also been paying down this mortgage. And now you've created 7-figure wealth for these people.
Absolutely.
Right?
And there's
Like,
accountability. We all fall off track.
Yeah.
If we know, I'm at the gym and I have a personal trainer that I'm working with, it's not because I don't know how to work out. It's
Yeah.
accountability.
Totally.
It's holding myself accountable and having someone there to help support me. We all need that.
Yeah.
We need to be able to lean on each other for that support. And that's what I'm hoping to provide. And the goal is, I look at you with admiration, because the goal would be to do that at that larger scale and open up opportunities to clients that don't necessarily always mean real estate as we know it, but other opportunities to empower and educate.
The only way I'm ever going to achieve my goal is by working together.
Yes.
Like, it is not a singular purpose goal. I just think that we owe it to ourselves, and the fact that most of our parents came here and struggled to give us a better life. And if we don't turn that into, like, exponential wins, we're the failures.
100%. It takes deep life experiences to shift your perspective, and that's my gift.
Yeah.
Life and time is precious.
Very.
And we get so caught up in the day-to-day that when something massive happens, you have no choice but to step out of it and reflect.
Yeah. It puts perspective.
Absolutely. And the connection piece holds a different meaning as well.
I had a massive, like, the reason I had one particular exit that did really well for me and my investors. It wasn't even in real estate, it was in cannabis. Like, I just timed the market, we timed the market right, and we came in early and we sold at the peak. And that moment actually put me through depression. As weird as that sounds. Sitting on top of the world, I was like, I lost purpose. Like, you achieve your goals, and then all of a sudden it's like,
What's next?
What's next? Why am I here? And that's where I decided, I'm like, from this point on, it can't be about me. Like, sure, I'm still, but, like, I'm a selfish, competitive, greedy person, but those characteristics can be shifted towards, like, not me. I can use those bad characteristics, or they're not bad, they're just
to create opportunities for others.
Yeah, like you can use your superpowers for good, not evil.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I've taken up a lot of your time. I want to ask two things.
Sure.
One, just one thing. What would words of wisdom that you would leave to somebody that hears this and they're like, I'm so inspired by you that I want to follow in your footsteps?
We get one chance at life. Take time to really visualize what you want life to be. Step into it and deliver. The world offers opportunities for those that are brave enough to kind of leave whatever insecurities we have behind and truly just step into it and start doing.
I can think of no better way to end the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was
such a pleasure.
A very special episode.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's another episode of the Basem Hanna podcast. Thank you so much to Rakhee for being on the show. If you'd like to listen to more full-length episodes, you can check them out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or you can go to my website, basemhanna.com. That's BASEMHANNA.com. Until next time, peace.